Good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Yo Kids podcast. Before we get started, please be sure to check out our schedule for the Homeschool Expos at homeschoolyokidsexpo.com. We have 14 states in total that we're visiting for 2025, one down, 13 more to go. So please be sure to check out the schedule. Also, big, huge appreciation shout out to Classical Conversations, one of our proud sponsors. They have some really cool curriculum and support that they offer homeschool families. So check out them, Classical Conversations. And also Basecamp Ed, one of our, also another proud sponsor for homeschool community. It's a really cool app. I think you should check that out. I downloaded it. I played around with it a little bit. But definitely check them out also if you're looking for some community support, all that good things, check them out. So today we have Sonia and Karthik. I did it.
Yeah.
Introduce yourselves.
All right, you want to go?
Yeah, I'm Karthik. So thanks for having us on your podcast. Super excited to share what we're working on. My name is Karthik. I'm a software engineer by profession. I've been in the industry for like 20-ish years. Most recently, I worked at Tesla. But just a couple of years ago, decided that I want to just spend more time in education because we're homeschooling our kids, and I think noticed that there's so many tools and so many useful things we could build, especially with software and the way technology is moving. So decided, best to spend my time working on some really cool new products that helps our children, grow and learn. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'm Sonia. We share 3 kids. And I have been a number of different things in my life, chemist and mom, homeschooling mom, tutor, all kinds of different things in over the years. But I really love teaching. I think that's one of the things. I think I just start explaining things to people even if they don't want it. So that's just part of my nature. But it's been really fun. Karthik decided that he wanted to come and join the homeschooling journey and was quickly convinced to do lots more. So that's been really fun. And that's kind of why we're here sharing things.
Yes, nice. So y'all have 3, and y'all homeschool all 3?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes. What's the ages?
So 11, she's the one we started with. 9, who very quickly decided he was in school with her at 2.
Oh,
It was
nice.
happening. It was happening. And then our baby, who's 4,
Okay.
also very quickly decided he was in school with everybody else.
Okay, got some gaps there. Okay. So what does your homeschool day look like?
Oh, good question. Well, it's kind of all over the place sometimes. We don't really follow a very strict schedule. The kids have some things that they know that they would like to do, and we try to help them do those things. We just kind of make the space and the time so that they have the opportunity to do what they're thinking they want to do.
Yeah, I think we just go through like phases. Like like a couple of months ago, they decided they just want to play piano, multiple hours a day, and that's what they did. Right. And then now they're part of this chorus group, and they're doing like multiple hours of singing. Right. So it really depends on like what relates, taking their interest. And
Of course. What led y'all to choose to homeschool?
Yeah. So I sort of started bugging him when our daughter was 18 months. I was like, we're homeschooling. And he was like, no, we're not. I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, also, she's really little. What are you talking about? So there was a lot of, this is happening.
Well, I had no concept of homeschooling from where I come from. Like, that's not even a thing, right? So it took me a while to get used to that idea, and now I'm actually glad that we went down that path for sure. Like,
Right? How did she get you on board? How did she get you
I
to the
think,
other side?
oh, just by showing, because it was, thing like we'll just do 1 year at a time. That was kind of what she
Okay.
said. Okay, we'll do kindergarten, and I was like, oh, that's actually not bad. Went well, and then we do first grade, and I was like,
I mean, I was like,
it's not bad.
yeah,
So, and then now it's just like, okay, it's a given, right? Like yeah, I think for me, it was just like seeing the results.
Yes.
That's what it is. Like it, I think the big difference was she was a little one's going to preschool, and then she would just come back home like grumpy and like just in a
Mm.
attitude and bad mood, and that was not her at all before she would go to this preschool. Right?
yeah.
Just having them homeschool, I just feel like we are just happier. Of course there are like little things here and there, right, as kids, but most of the time we just feel like we're happier as a family unit. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And I also think, yeah, that was one of the things we said. It was just, we're going to do 1 year. We'll see where we go. And if it doesn't work, if it's like really at the end of kindergarten, if we're feeling like we're untethered, then we can always go back to public school. It's always an option for us, and we can always reintegrate. We did get lucky. We are in an area where there are a lot of families homeschooling, which is wonderful. And we also have, so we have all different kinds of groups that we can participate with, which is really nice. We have people who are fully what they call PSA. They are independent of everything. They homeschool. They either create co-ops or, but they're completely independent. But they do really interesting things, and so they invite us in. We've done book clubs with them. We've done all kinds of interesting things with them. Have celebrations. We meet with them. They come to our house. We go to their, park play dates and houses and whatever. So we have a lot of community that way, which is really nice. And then there are also charters here nearby us, which are really nice. They do lots of interesting things. And then we have independent public school programs that we're also a part of. And that's really great because we have like built-in community resources. Initially, I think it helped just with the idea of knowing there was someone there to check in with that had, and the nice thing about the teachers when we started was they had homeschooled their kids.
Aw.
They had successfully graduated their kids through homeschooling, moved them all the way to university. So it was great to have that model of of someone experienced in homeschooling. And also I realized like you just learn how to work really hard. Like you learn how to do things just as parents, like together for your kids. It's just it's a different like way you move your body and go around the world. It's, I I I always kind of shy away from some things, but it really taught me a lot in how to engage with children that I don't necessarily know, and and just what the world is, and it was really nice.
Indeed. So sounds like it has been a perfect fit for the family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the other part of it that really drew me to homeschooling too is I was really insistent that we, kind of learn a second language, maybe a third if we had the bandwidth for it. So the kids have explored many different languages. We speak Hindi at home, so the kids speak Hindi, they read and write. We're just moving them all in that direction, which is really nice. It's and also being able to travel. That was another thing. So we spent, 3 months in India.
Yeah, and yeah, we're traveling again. So it's just like, I think from a bigger picture, right? Like, so we have a academic piece, which is just so much easier to get through while we're home, right? A couple hours or a few hours a day. Sometimes we don't even do it, and it's very easy to catch up because,
You're not behind.
yeah, we're not, yeah, and the learning never stops, right? It's not like, oh, weekend or summer, we don't really stop. It just, if they're interested, we just keep going, right? And then the socializing piece is super easy too, like with all the communities we have. They have so many
Yes.
different groups they, go along with. And the best part is just there's no like grade level peers. It's just like they interact with everybody, right? from babies to high school kids.
Nice. Yes. I love that y'all have so much community and support, it sounds like. Y'all are a part of
It
a
is,
couple different groups.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is actually kind of a really, really great community out here. It's really fun. Yeah, that's if you come out here, we'll take you
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, no, I feel like I already knew that California had a major homeschooling community. I feel like you all are definitely ahead of the game over there as far as just how many co-ops and everything, organizations there are that are ensuring that families are supported. So I love that for y'all. California's just so big. It's just so big.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
It is so big. And I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people realized during the pandemic that just the time with their kids is fun. They're more in touch. They know what they're doing. They can help them. I think there's a lot of support. I think there's a lot of sort of movement into the sort of homeschool concept. I think when I first posed the idea, it was like I don't think it was definitely not as popular, but now it's a lot of people I think that have come to it and have found also the resources. Like there are resources, and I think that that piece has become more available and people can find things.
Indeed, indeed. There's a plethora of resources available. And
Maybe
I love it. They're needed.
maybe also too many, right? Like I think that's the other
It
kind
can be overwhelming. It can
right?
be overwhelming, yes.
Yeah, and also how do we pare back? We've had a lot of those challenges. Like how do we, okay, what do we say no to? Because
Right,
we've got 10, 15, 20 things we can do, but we have time to do three. So,
right. And
so
I've heard her mom say that, like, her saying, like, I just had to learn how to say no. Like, I just learned how to say no because it wasn't a lack of things to do. It was too many things to do, and then you become overwhelmed in that. You're in your freedom of, oh, okay, I can do this or I can do that. And it's like, oh, but I don't have to do everything.
uh,
Like,
that is a constant battle for us, for sure.
yeah,
Because also,
choosing.
yes, and also because if you have, multiple kids with they have
Mhm.
different interests, and our idea is that we're following their interests. So
Yes.
are we following them in different directions? Sometimes it happens where you're like, oh, this one wants to do this and this one wants to do something completely different. And it kind of balancing everything out and making sure that we're also, I always say this, but space and time are really
Mhm.
important things, grounding them, giving them space and time to focus,
Yeah.
making that space and time for them to do things. I'm going to probably say it 100 times today, but like it is crucial. It is the key so that they can really kind of develop. Um, but yeah, making that the priority because I know I'm guilty. I always want to run to the next thing and do the next thing, but
I was looking at a Facebook post that dad was actually asking advice about his wife. He had recently been laid off, and so he got to see the homeschool routine at home, and like he didn't like it. So he was asking for advice because he didn't like that the kids got up as late as they did, like they got up around 10 or 11. And he kind of wanted them, I guess, more structure. And so it was interesting to see. And then I was reading some of the comments, and one lady was like, well, your wife is on the same schedule as we are. Like, we don't have anywhere to be. Like, we don't have a set schedule of any sort that it's like, oh, okay, we have to speed through this or speed through that. It's like you can really take your time and be present in all your moments at home, with no rush.
Yeah.
So I know it's a lot to adjust to, especially if you are programmed to be on a schedule. We all know, like, as far as going through public school and then going to get a job. And it's like when you're at home with nothing but you deciding what it is you're going to do with 12 hours out the day, it's like, okay,
Yeah, I definitely relate to that, dad, because during COVID, I was working from home a lot. And then I'll be in my room working and I'll come out and be like, what are the kids doing? They're not doing anything. Like it
playing.
definitely,
What
it
are
definitely
they
took me a
playing
while.
still?
why are they sitting over there? And reading.
Right.
Now,
I know.
now where are they?
So developing a routine or one that, offers the balance that's your family. I like that you said like you want them to be able to enjoy the space and time that they're in, not necessarily have to rush. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a balance because they do sports and they have other, things, places we have to be, and it's we do sometimes have to rush just given, you know, three people and the dynamics of that and getting everybody in the car and getting everybody fed and all of that.
and
So,
are
but
you all using a curriculum, any kind of curriculum?
um we use a bunch of different things, kind of piecemeal. For me, when it came to teaching my, I think this was another thing where you were kind of like, what is she ever going to read? When it came to teaching my daughter to read, we were traveling, and we were in India, and I did not pack any books. I, I packed a lot of games. I think we took a lot of puzzles. We took just little things for them to play with. We took a lot of just, little kind of little toys, easy to pack toys, um, but no curriculum. And at the end of that 3 months, counting, reading, all those things had happened. And it was literally us learning on a bus, learning on transportation, sitting around the house, going on walks. Um, and it had to do with just pointing things out and talking about them. And, I remember I knew my daughter would see stop signs and she'd stop us in the road, and we had to stay there for 10 minutes and explain every letter and why this was there and why did it have to be in this spot and how come there was one on this corner and that corner but not in between. And there are a lot of questions around, remember,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
so she asked us.
Right.
Yeah.
Good questions, though. I don't
Yeah.
think as an adults, like being here 35, 40 plus years, like we're like, oh, like, it's like, oh, that's, we know that, like, we know that. But then seeing it through the eyes of like a 4 or 5 year old and understanding like they really don't know much. Like they really need to be, this stuff has to be explained to them. And so when they get to asking the questions, I have an 8 and 11 year old. And so when they get to asking questions, I'm just like, oh my, like this is a journey, honey. The stuff, the stuff that they're asking already, first of all, and then just the level of like, bracing yourself to be able to explain it like appropriately or
Right.
in layman, in terms for them to understand or whatever. It's just the learning that is endless. Like it really is endless.
Right.
And it's effortless too.
Yeah, and sometimes they ask questions that we don't know the answers to, and it's actually so
Right.
much gratifying to like looked up together and learn together. That is such an
Right.
amazing feeling. Like, oh wow,
Right.
you actually taught me something by asking this question.
Yes.
Oh, so many
Yes.
questions like
Yeah,
that. Yeah. And their deep dives have been really interesting, I think, for us because um, they'll go really deep into something, like want to find out everything, follow every rabbit hole that they possibly can. And by the end of it, you feel like, oh my goodness, like now I know so much. So just like very recently we went and saw Hamilton.
Oh, nice.
And they had it in San Francisco, and so we went with a big group and we watched it. And of course, we'd listened to it plenty before, but this was the first time the kids got to see, the actors and on stage, and they walked away from that experience just fully, just every question on the planet,
oh yeah,
you
yeah. For
know,
every rabbit hole, right? Like
yeah,
from every character in the story, that they want to like learn everything about their background, what they did after, what
yeah.
happened during. Like it just
Where are they now?
yeah,
Like, where are they
Right.
now? So my daughter was like, she found, I guess one of Burr's descendants and one of Hamilton's descendants, they're on a board at a yacht club or something together. And so there's an article about how they, if there are any differences, they resolve them amicably was the line in there. But I mean, we followed their family lines, we followed all kinds, timelines, and that led to this like research on Boston, the research on New York, the research on where it was, where the everything was signed, DC, and so now they have a trip that they're planning. They've done the fundraising for it. They've, it's kind of like they just took that to a whole new level. Whereas I might have gone in with a book and been like, okay, let's talk about,
Right.
let me show you about, and just 50 questions led us down this amazing pathway that we could never have, really constructed for them without all of their questions.
Indeed. The questions matter. I say, like, you got to answer the questions, man, because they really just want to know. And they be good questions. Like, they
Great
make you
question.
think too. And critical thinking is like we need that. Like, 'cause a lot of it doesn't happen often. So we need our critical thinkers. And I feel like homeschoolers are definitely some of the most critically thinking individuals. I like to watch my kids problem solve on their own. Like I
Yeah.
literally will watch them like come to an obstacle and just like, okay, I wonder what she's gonna do. Like, without me interjecting, without her asking me for help, it's just like, oh, okay. Oh, look at her. Like she's found a solution. It's like that's really
Yeah.
rewarding, in my opinion, to see them figure out stuff on their own. Like, because you want them to be able to like exist without you, like adequately healthy. You want them to be okay, and just knowing that okay, conflict arises and you're able to handle that. I love seeing that.
Yeah, and it's really amazing to watch them just develop into,
Mhm.
capable individuals, like you said, like just knowing that they have, and they want to learn. There's a difference. One of the feedback pieces we get a lot from people who meet them just sort of out in the world. Either they're, taking a new class with somebody, or they're just, they say, and this is just across the board with the communities that we're involved with, they say, oh wow, they just come and they're asking questions and they really are involved and they really want to be. One of the things we have is a Hindi tutor for them, just so that they have another person that they can practice with, because we don't have a lot of people who speak our language here. So they do that. And she's always commenting on how, they're there to learn and they're
Yeah.
Yeah.
actively asking questions.
Yeah, I think the homeschool difference versus the public school is like they're required to be there, whereas the
Mhm.
homeschoolers, they know that they can leave if they don't want to do this. If
Mhm.
they're there, that means they want to be there and learn, right? So they
Indeed.
in some way they don't know how to fake it, right? They haven't learned how to fake that they're interested in something because they're required to be there in a classroom setting, right?
Right. That's how I felt about Spanish.
No.
Like, I really feel like I should have made better use of my time in Spanish, but I didn't because I was made to be there. And I took so many years too. It's crazy. I'm not going to talk about it now, but I am already talking about it. But understand that's like my biggest like, oh, I really wish I would have did better in that and all of those classes of Spanish. Even college, I even took Spanish in college and I still can't give you like a
No,
conversation or
I totally know.
anything.
I took French in school and I don't remember anything about French. Like
Right?
because I was to be and I was required to be there.
Exactly. It's so much different. I feel like I took German out for because my like, two of my other friends were taking it. So I took German in eighth grade. And I still remember like I probably remember equivalent amount of German as I do Spanish. And it's sad. It's really sad because yeah, but being made to do something is totally different than you actually wanting or like, hey, me showing you interest. I'm showing you that I'm interested in this, and develop out lessons from there, as opposed to going through a set schedule for 7 hours out the day. Is pretty bananas. That's just bananas. But yeah, no. The art of falling in love with learning. That is always the goal, to get them to love learning.
Exactly. Yeah. Learn to learn, right? That's what we say. Like that's the main skill to learn in life, is learn to learn.
Yes, 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 yes. So let's talk about what y'all have created to help homeschoolers or families in general, not necessarily just homeschoolers, but individuals that are leading their children's educational journeys. What have y'all had? What do y'all have?
So, we created a program called Superdecoders, and the idea, so we both come from STEM backgrounds. My mom, our family, they're artists and writers and things like that, but we both come from STEM, and so originally we were thinking kind of around the STEM lines because that's where we're strongest. Um, but our daughter really likes writing. She loves to write. She writes quite a bit, and we wanted to do something kind of to support her partly, um, and also because there was sort of a need. You know, it's teaching writing is tricky. It's tricky for a lot of parents, and one of the things that I saw kind of over and over in our community um, was that people, you know, kids were struggling to write, parents were struggling on how to get to teach that. And so we wanted to make something where it would help everybody. The writers write, and the folks who are teaching implement something that was kind of easy for them to do. And that's where Superdecoders came in, and Karthik actually had the idea for it to.
Yeah. So, one of my, interests and passions, like how to simplify things and hide all the complexity in the background. Especially it's more important for kids, right? So I feel like all this like ChatGPT, everything, it just does the work for you, which is not what we want to teach our kids. We want the kids to learn how to think for themselves. And of course, they are going to use all these tools, right, in the future to help them. But the most critical thing is how to think for yourself. That is not what something, internet or AI is going to teach you, right? That's something you have to develop innately, and that comes from just having the space, right, and the time and practice. Yeah, so this Superdecoders is the website. It just think of like a personal tutor that's patient. You can write as many mistakes as you want, right? You can write as little or as much as you want. There's no restrictions on what you want to write. You just follow your interest. So one thing also we noticed is, when you give a kid a topic, okay, you have to write on this, they're not going to do it. But if you just give them a white paper and just say, hey, just write whatever you want, you'll see so many different ways you didn't even imagine they can go, right? But they will just write. So that's kind of the idea too. Like we don't restrict on what you can do and what you cannot do. It's just, if you want to write, narrative writing, go for it. If you want to write, a novel, go for it, right? And what we do in the background is kind of just help guide them, show them where they can improve, where they made mistakes, but we don't tell them what to write.
So
Right.
I can, yeah, I can kind of elaborate on that too. So the example would be, so, there are kind of four big like writing, I don't know what to call it, but the like overview topics. So there's narrative writing, descriptive writing, persuasive writing, and expository writing. And by the time you're done, K through 12, presumably you've been introduced to all of them. You've, written lots of stories. You've written opinion pieces. You've written persuasive essays. You've learned how to construct your thoughts. And that, so far, I also work with college students. One of the things that I have seen, and with myself as well, I mean, I went through public school, did the whole thing, and I got to college and I really struggled with writing because it was, how do I organize my thoughts? What do I put first? What comes next? How do I, and of course I'd taken all the writing classes, I'd, done all the things, but it still was a challenge. And so it took a long time to build that writing skill. And the idea here is no matter where you're starting, if you're a really good writer and you're already coming in strong, or if you're really struggling and you're just coming in learning this, it doesn't matter where you are in that process. We will come alongside you and just help. So we see that you've written this. That's wonderful. You could consider using this word or that word, just what a tutor would do. And so sort of a little bit of my tutoring mind in there to sort of help guide that. But you know, one of the things just as parents, we have limited time when we're sitting with our kiddos, and if you have multiple kiddos, then you know that time is even less. So we wanted something where they could kind of function pretty independently, and we saw our kids were really independent with certain programs that they were using online. They could just go in there and do, and we saw their progress just kind of going because they were really independently able to do that. And so we wanted to create something like that for writing. So with minimal effort from, you know, because I for sure understand the pain points of you know, a homeschooling parent who's actually trying to do the teaching piece. So we wanted minimal amounts from them and maximal amounts from the person who's doing the learning, right?
Gotcha. Well, you know, you had gave me some homework,
Oh
and I
yeah.
will tell you, I didn't make it. Okay, so I've never been good about homework. It's just I don't know why I'm not good at it. Um, But I did do the evaluation. I said, at least let me do something. Like I was like, oh, let me do at least one thing. So I did do the evaluation. I put that I was a 12th grader, and they told me I wasn't. No, they told me that my level of writing was on 10th or 11th grade. I feel
Okay.
like it said something about my vocabulary being basic. And I felt like I did some really good vocabulary. And I was like, oh my gosh, the rigor is like extreme. Like, so
Yeah.
I can definitely tell that it's a rigorous program. It's definitely going to push writers in the direction of like definitely reaching the peak of their writing abilities. For sure, because I use words like fluorescent and iridescent. I think I may even threw an intergalactic in there. I don't know, but it was just like, oh my gosh, my words are basic. So, but no, I see exactly, you know, what you all are doing with it, and I think it's a great tool. I think it will definitely help to help writers. Why did y'all choose writing? Is it because of your daughter's love of writing, or is it because of just okay, let us put all this together and boom?
Yeah, I think it was a cross section of we had, you know, our daughter who loved writing as a parent trying to teach writing to someone who loved writing, and then we had another child who was just an emerging writer, not quite there yet, needed a lot of support, and I wanted to be able to support them both equally. And then I just, you know, just in our groups, I just saw that a lot of people were asking about, you know, how do I teach reading? How do I teach writing? And there are lots and lots of things out there for learning how to read. But there are very few things that support our writers. And there are great programs out there that do. One of the things that I really like about Superdecoders is that you get immediate feedback. So say you write a story, right? You go in there, and this will be some fun homework for you. Um, I actually gave my sixth grade, I'll tell you a secret. I gave my sixth grade teacher who I reconnected with recently, I gave her homework, and she wrote back and she was like, "You're giving me homework?" And I said, "My turn."
Right.
Um, but yeah, no, so I lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
You were talking about the immediate feedback, like, you
Oh,
know, when
right,
you
right.
write.
Right. So yeah, so you write your story, and normally, right, you say you're in a classroom environment or say you're with your parent, you have to wait for them. You have to wait for whoever it is to come around and read your story. Maybe they have time, maybe they don't. Maybe it'll happen at the end of the day, maybe it'll happen in a week, but it'll happen at their timeline. Um, with Superdecoders, you write your story, and then once you're done, you submit it, and you get the feedback right there. And the nice thing about it is so patient, it'll go through line by line, and it'll give you real feedback on lots of different things. So
Yeah, grammar, vocabulary, and if you're writing a story, it gives you ideas on like story plot, right? How to make the story interesting, right? Where's the conflict? Where's the resolution? How does it end? So it kind of makes you think through that.
Yeah. I think that's so essential. Y'all know I was a teacher and I taught 10th and 12th grade English. I taught 7th grade English too. But I went in the classroom feeling like, I'm gonna give my students this is my first year teaching in 7th grade. Let's give this example. So I gave them all journals, composition notebooks, and I'm like, okay, they're gonna write and reflect, and then at the end of the week, I'm gonna write them back. Like like that was my thing. Like I'm gonna write them back. Mind you, I had about 80 something students. This is just in middle school. High school is totally different numbers. But the being able to give them the constant feedback that they were looking for, it was a lot. It was
yeah,
definitely a lot. But it's essential. Like
yeah,
it's so important for them to receive feedback. Like they need to receive something in regards to their writing. But it's a daunting task.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and if you don't give them feedback right away, if you come back a week later and they've already forgotten about that, they
they've
moved on to a
Right?
different idea, right?
they've moved on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom used to teach what they call core courses at the local university. And she would have, they'd have to do writing assignments, and she would bring back blue books in a stack, maybe like 90
Mhm.
to 100, and have to go through every line and do that. And it was definitely a pain point. So this I can see being really helpful to teachers who can say, hey,
Definitely.
if you have a group of 30 kids, hey, do this, write your thing, and I'll be here to help you learn how to take the feedback, which is such a different um, such a different way of engaging. Like, I'm here to help you learn to take the feedback
Mhm.
versus I'm giving you the feedback that now then I have to give you the feedback and you have to then learn how
Help
to.
you implement it. Yes.
So
So the teacher can be more the implementer, like, hey, this is what you receive back. This meaning this is what you need to work on. So these are ways you can work on it.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think it helps. And it really doesn't matter if you're in the classroom or out of the classroom or whatever. It that doesn't change. That need for feedback and the process of taking
No, it doesn't.
change.
I know it's more, simpler, of course, if you're homeschooling. I don't know, because I talked to Tracy. She had 8 kids. I can imagine like giving those 8 kids assignments and then having them. But if you're, a parent of 1 or 2, then giving them feedback would be um way more simpler. But having um I don't know, like I said, your program's pretty rigorous because they just told you they sent me to 10th grade. I have a whole graduate's degree. Yeah, that's kind of hurt my feelings a
Maybe we
little
need to
bit. Oh
maybe
yeah.
No, 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 trust me. No, trust me. You and me both. You and me both. We've had conversations about this because we were like, you know, uh, when we first started, I was like, if a third grader had written this, I mean, I would expect this to get better points. Like, please give me a
Right?
few more points for my third grade writing.
Right.
Where it was like, no, this is not third grade, and I'd written it. It's like this is not third grade level. This is not third grade level. So we had to, this is definitely the feedback, and that kind of process has definitely been iterative.
yeah. Yeah. So
Yes.
the one good thing is the more you write, the better it'll adapt to your writing skills, and you'll get better
Mm,
feedback and better like evaluation. Uh, it's hard to like give a feedback to somebody we have no history of.
yes.
So we don't know where your benchmark is, right? So we kind of set the benchmark right now, but then as you write more, we will adjust your level.
And you're like, just kidding. Okay, you're
Yeah,
in
no,
the 12th
yeah.
grade now.
That's
You
okay.
there now.
You should have seen what I wrote as a third grader. You would have been impressed.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I think it's an amazing tool, and I think y'all would definitely do well in the classroom environment too, not just with
Yeah.
parents by no means, because writing is it is something difficult to teach. I always share that I had to stop modeling for my students because they used to copy off whatever it was that I put on the board. And so they would just, just change a couple words to make it fit theirs, but and essentially they just wrote the same thing that I wrote. So that was something that I had to combat against in regards to them like getting their own original thoughts and their own, hey, this like let me tell my story as opposed to let me just switch up your story a little bit. So writing is a task, and it's amazing because you said that your daughter struggled with reading at first, or not necessarily struggled, she just didn't have any books. And so y'all were worried about her reading for her to obviously develop into a pretty strong reader if she loves to write.
No, yeah, my daughter was actually pretty good reader right off the bat. Good writer really early, and loves writing. I'd say it was our son was um just he just focused so much on math.
Mm.
Reading was a sort of a secondary interest, and we were okay with that. We wanted to sort of let them develop what was the stronger muscle and not stop that from happening. And so if he wanted to spend, hours a day doing math, and she wanted to spend hours a day writing things, I wasn't the one that was going to come up and go, "Hey, don't stop writing, enough reading," just yeah, whatever they wanted to do. And then also, but we also believe that like they need to develop all the muscles as well.
Hmm.
So we also wanted them to make sure that, they could both read and write, but both, work on things. Second language again was a really important thing for us. So we wanted to make sure that that was happening. And potentially third or fourth or however they wanted to like develop that. But we work a lot with them. Like I think we talked to them about, like just yesterday, I think we had a conversation about, would you want a tighter schedule? Is it better for you? Do you feel like that you want more rigor in your day, or do you want there to be like more sort of loose day and you can kind of pick and choose? And so they had some ideas around that for themselves. So we're kind of, we just kind of try to be really transparent with them about like this
Nice.
is challenging for us. What do you think? Is this also a challenge for you? You feel okay about this, or how do you want to go about it? And
Yeah, giving them the freedom to make their own decision, right? It's also an important skill.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And another kind of going back, kind of looping back around to Superdecoders, they both of the kids are our QA. So they definitely have suggested a lot of things in there. They have said,
Nice.
we don't like this, we want this gone, or they'll say, can you add, like my daughter made him work really hard for 1 week. Was like, I need chapter books because that's what
Huh.
I need to write chapter books. And so he said okay, and so she's got this module for her that is chapter books, and maybe once she's written a few chapter books and we feel like it's ready for everyone, we can
Yeah.
make it available to everyone too. But that's kind of the fun thing of, working with the kiddos in doing this, is that they think of lots of things and give us ideas on what about this, what about that.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's very like, say, oh, I want to work on these features, right? Or like 5 features. And then like, and they're like, no, I want this one that I didn't even think about. So it's very easy for us as grown-ups, like, oh, these are the 5 important things, but that's not what matters. Like what matters is like what the kids are naturally inclined and want to work on. So I think if you look at the app, everything's kind of like, very, free. Like you can use whichever module you want. We don't force you, right? And in reality, right, no single, writer, right? There's not a writer, anybody, right? No one is good at every single form of writing.
Hmm.
Someone picks, right? Someone's great at writing, Facebook posts or Twitter.
Mhm.
Right? That's a different skill than like writing novels,
Indeed.
right? Or writing essays or nonfiction. So it just go deep on whatever you want to work on, whatever you're interested in, right? If you just want like 5-line stories, that's your thing, go for it, right? Write like thousands of those.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask that. How do your kids like the app? How
Oh,
do they like Superdecoders? So thank you for that. Cause y'all turned it into a family business. It's a family affair. Like they're
it's
your creative directors. Like you could give them job
Really are, yeah.
titles. Yes.
they are, yeah, they are definitely product development.
And it's fun to
Yeah.
watch them, develop like from just in the last few months, just
Mm.
what they wrote before to like what they're writing now, which is so much. And that's actually a great thing I like about this app too. Like we can see a portfolio of like how they have improved
I
their
saw
writing.
that option. I did see
Yeah.
that up there. My portfolio or
Yeah.
portfolio. I don't know if it said
Yeah.
mine, but yeah.
Portfolio, yeah.
And one of the things, if you go in, you'll see there's a section where, you can write something in, and then it'll give you feedback. And so you can improve it and give you feedback and give you feedback. And as you write, it'll give you more feedback, and you write, and then it'll give you more feedback. Um, and then it'll show you side by side how you started and where you ended based on the feedback.
Nice.
And I think it's really helpful for us to sort of see our progress. You know, the feedback is really important. Seeing our progress is really important. There are these kind of key things, right, as writing teachers that we often um, uh, need, right, our students to kind of do. So it's nice to have this in one place and just be able to kind of move very quickly with them as they're learning. So the other thing that I really like is, so in the book report section, there's there's themes in there. So you can pick a book. So say you're reading, I don't know, Bridge to Terabithia, or Winn-Dixie was the one that they read recently. You can go in there, and then there are themes in there. And so we want to be able to support, like that critical thinking piece, and why is the author writing what they're writing, and kind of moving more into the character analysis and themes and all of those kinds of things, and really kind of diving deep into the thinking pieces as well. So yeah, we want to be able to push the critical thinking and see what they have to say, because I think they really are so creative. They have a lot to say.
Indeed.
The opportunity, time and space.
Yep.
Time and space. Yes. Yes. Sounds like a great resource that you all have created. A lot of thought has gone into it. And like I like that y'all have turned into a family affair by getting the ones who matter as far as the kids
Exactly.
that you're trying to grow, getting their feedback and acting on the feedback too. Is really dope. I love that.
Yeah, you get the kids in there. I'm curious what they'd want to write and
Oh,
see.
mine, I know. I still have them writing. I still have them writing, like
Right.
physically writing on
Right.
paper. But I was
Well,
just thinking while you were sharing, like as far as the portfolio goes, that's so much more convenient, than keeping a bunch of papers, because I'm always debating on what to toss and what not. And I'm like, oh, should I throw this away? I'm like, yeah, let me throw this away.
yeah, one of
Like,
yeah, one of the ideas there was to be able to like have a portfolio. So my
mm,
idea, I think we're still working on implementation here, but one of my ideas is that you should be able to have like a first grade folder in there. You
mm,
said journal with your high school kids, was it? Or your
yes.
seventh graders.
My seventh graders, yeah.
So uh my daughter, I think she was in first grade, and I did that exact thing with her. I got her a special notebook from Dollar Tree. And and on the first page, I wrote this very sweet letter, and I said, "This is your notebook, and you and I are going to write in this together." And what I realized is she did not want me in there. Um,
I
she had lots to say, and
was just about to say, oh, I'm gonna do that. Like, no, she didn't want me there. Oh, never mind.
no, it was a very cute idea, and that was not the direction it went.
Why
Um,
didn't she want you there?
she had
Oh,
stuff to say.
she has so much to say.
No, I was not, I did not have time to get me
Mm,
there. She was busy. I mean, the whole notebook got filled up, and I've got this like thick notebook, and that was part of again, that was also part of this idea was, we took pieces of all the cool things that we have seen people doing and we
mhm.
shoved it together into this thing. Because the idea was we want it to be like at the end of the day, we want it to be K through 12, comprehensive, one-stop shop, come, do the thing, write the thing, and we want it to be accessible. So
Yes, and it is too. You even have it at a reasonable price. You have a free version. I think that's really dope. And I want to say it's what, $10 a month?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, 100 a
Yeah,
year, I think it was a month. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's not gonna, yeah. The idea was, again, we want writers, we want critical thinkers, we want good ideas. So if there are folks out there and they're like, oh, this would be amazing, we want that. Send it our way.
feedback. Yes.
yeah.
Feedback, yeah. It's been really fun. Like you said, one of our users, he came back and he said, I thought this was going to be easy on me. Wasn't.
Me too,
And
sir. Me
he
too.
he liked that. He was like, he was like, no, this is great.
I know I feel challenged. I'm not gonna hold you. Like I want
Yeah.
to write something else because it's like, wait a minute, because I don't know how I feel about this. Like my major English,
Oh
so
yeah,
it's
challenge that feeling.
like, right? Like, when I get some more time, I'm about to go back in there because
Oh,
we
oh, but
make it
that
to
was
12th grade.
but that was one of the things that happened to me too. So this is again like I enjoy writing. I don't do it often. I don't have time often,
Right.
but there's there are notebooks, I got notebooks. They're like usually filled up and I
Mhm.
got another notebook over here, another notebook over there. So the writing happens. Um, but I woke up like right at the very early thing. I'd written something the night before, and I woke up in the morning and I grabbed the computer and I went straight to writing. And I was like, oh wait, if I have that feeling, I feel like other people will have that feeling. But
Mhm.
like, that's an incomplete thought. I want to finish it.
Yeah, no, it's like a challenge. It really is. It's like that's the first thing I thought. Like when I saw my results, I was like, oh no, I gotta write something else.
Yeah.
That's the first, like,
Yes.
I feel like, wait a minute now. Yes. So
Yeah,
no, I love it. I love the rigor in it because it really will push you to say, hey, okay, let me try it this way. Well, let me try this.
Right.
right. Yeah, I mean, think of it as like Lego, right? Like it's like you see this completed thing, right? But you have no idea how to get to it. But
Hmm.
once you start working on it, it kind of builds up on itself, and you get to this final amazing product, right? Or Lego thing you build. And I think similar thing with writing. It's probably the closest
Hmm.
thing that we have for kids you know that's not in the STEM space. Is this writing? Like they have something in their head, some imagination, right? But how do you get to that stage? But you just have to start writing. Write like may not make any sense the first draft, but then as you
Yeah.
just refine it, get feedback, refine, you get to this whatever is in your head, right? That's your beautiful piece. Right.
I love that. With the, because I know what it takes to create and maintain an app. I'm slacking at maintaining mine, but how do y'all self-care with all that you have, with homeschooling, with everything that you have going?
Big
How do
up and
you all
down.
self-care?
Um,
Is it a
You know,
thing? Is it?
I would say it's fun, right? That's
yeah.
part of one of the things we decided was like it has to be we need to have fun doing this. And
Yes.
just fun watching the kids doing it. So as long as our kids are having fun, we feel like it's just worth the effort to do it, to continue this. But
Mm-hmm.
of course, we make sure that we don't like, do
Walks.
yeah, book walks.
Okay, because I was gonna say I'm hearing that you don't do anything. This is what I'm hearing.
So we try to go for walks.
Yeah.
We've been trying
Okay.
to keep ourselves, this is one of the conversations we've been having is how are we, trying to get like trying to be a little bit more mindful of work time and family time, but everything kind of, when it's everyone's kind of involved and your brain is going on these topics all the time anyway. At least for me, I just kind of I wake up in the middle of the night and I said, "Hey, by the way, I need to tell you something." Or I'm texting him. Don't want to wake him up, but I have something to say. Um, so just trying to be mindful of like giving ourselves time to just be us.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's not the only thing we want to do, right? It's the kids are doing so many other activities. So of course, right, all that always takes precedence.
Yes.
Right?
Take some bandwidth too.
Yeah.
Yes. So I hear walks.
Definitely walks, lots of board game time with the
Oh
kids.
yeah.
That's
Okay.
always a relaxing way to spend time. Yeah.
Board games are relaxing. Okay.
No,
Okay. Look, learning something new here. But
we won't do Monopoly. That just takes too long.
yes, even Monopoly Junior, Lord of mercy. Yes. Yes, they do. I love Monopoly though, I will tell you. I feel like I'm like like a Hall of Famer on Monopoly for real. Look, not in
Monopoly.
real life though, but
But the 3 hour
just the board
games,
game.
the
Yes.
3 hour games, that's
Yes.
that's the tough
Yeah,
one.
those are stressful for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Especially when they're
Okay. So I hear that we need to still work on our self-care regimens. We need to still incorporate a little bit more me time or we time, whichever one you want it to be. But either way, remember that y'all have to replenish. So with all that you're pouring out, especially like I said, the app itself is, oh my gosh, that's enough.
Yeah.
And
We have had those conversations where
yes.
usually people pick and we just add. But
Yes.
also, it's been fun. I mean, it's been a lot of fun to, you know,
To develop and everything. I know, like I tell people, I don't know how I made my app. Like I really don't, because now with the upkeep of it, I find it so hard. I find, but the development of the app and actually putting the time, it was so effortlessly. It's like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? It's like, oh, this is awesome. But now it's like, I don't have time for that. But it's really cool that it still works. Like, I'm glad that y'all are finding use for it. Thank you guys. But yes, no, it takes a lot to maintain an app. It really, really does. And then y'all are homeschooling. So that's just a question that I've been trying to ask everyone and remind people of the need for self-care and making it a priority, not an option. Okay. That's
thank
all.
you for keeping us.
Yeah. No, totally. Like our best ideas come from our walks or like me working out at the gym. Like, just when you're not doing that thing is when you get
Right?
the ideas. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Because
actually
you're
true.
you're
Yeah.
replenishing, you're rejuvenating. So it's like you get some fresh stuff your way. Oh, I'm clear again. Ah, yes. So
Yeah,
keep that in mind.
do a
I will
lot of.
ask. Mhm. Go
Oh no, go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
No, this is a separate question. So you
Oh
have
no.
more. Okay. Before, because we are at our time, but um I wanted to know, how did you all deal with opposition? Had a little person pop in. How did you all deal, because you are first generation homeschoolers? I know Karthik said that it wasn't even something that he had heard of really. So how did your family, or how has your family received you all homeschooling?
I think there was a lot of confusion around it. I don't think a lot of people understood, well, definitely, growing up that I had homeschooling friends, friends who had homeschooled. And part of, I think, my draw towards homeschooling was um, the smartest people that I knew in my circle of friends had been homeschooled. So this is in high school, this is in college, this is after I graduated and started working. The people that showed up over and over that seemed so capable, so smart, so humble, so sweet. Um, just like people that I kept in touch with, hung out with. They had been homeschooled, and of course, plenty of people that hadn't, but I think that was the model that kind of I kept referring back to, like, this can be really successful. You can have really amazing people come out of this process. And I think that was in the back of my mind when I started. And it's hard to convince or to, so I didn't spend a lot of time trying to convince anybody, because it if you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen those people in your life, then you don't understand it. And that's very normal. So I don't think I had it in my head that necessarily that they needed to be convinced. I felt like the proof was just going to be in the results of the kids, and if it worked, then great. And if it didn't, then then we could always reintegrate at any point. And so it was just sort of well, let's see what happens. And again,
Yeah, I think just
experimenting on our
exactly.
kids.
I think it's just like showing the results, right? That's where, it's hard. You can explain all you want, but they won't understand it if they come from a place of, where they have some like preconceived some notion of what homeschooling is, right? Yeah, with my family, I think, I don't know if they still don't get it either, I think, but now they see the kids and they're like, oh, it's
They're okay.
yeah, they're amazing. Like, I mean, they do so many interesting stuff, and they're their own individual humans, and they're fun to be around, and
Yeah.
good humans, right? That's what matters.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for saying that. Just the showing instead of trying to tell, because it is hard to tell people exactly what it is that you are trying to accomplish, and just show them instead. But that's a big thing as far as families that are first-time homeschoolers, or first generation homeschoolers, is the family and everything having so many opinions on what you got going on. So I always try to ask that too, like, how do you deal with that? And what do you say to that? And I like that you said, I don't even pay no attention. I'm not even trying to like convince anyone of anything. It's like, oh, okay, well, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Here are the results. Look at these brilliant babies.
The only person I really kind of had to convince
And you did great. Yes. It's like,
not only did I convince him that I should homeschool the kids, but I convinced him that he should homeschool the kids. So yeah.
Accomplishment.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So before I let you all go, I need 3 things from each of you. So 3 things that you would tell families, like if they don't hear anything else, hear this. Please take this away with you. And 3 for each one of you. So don't try to, share
Combine.
your 3. Yeah.
3 things. I have to put my thoughts on paper because apparently I write things down.
As you should. I love writing. And don't try to sell her as Karthik. You have to give your own. You have to give your own.
Okay. 3 things that, I think time is on your side. Try things. It's okay if it doesn't work. Be brave, go forward, and just see where you land. I mean, we're experimenting a lot on a lot of different things. Sometimes things work, sometimes things don't, and it's okay. So just do what you feel is very natural for you and what you think will work. And don't be afraid to change that if it doesn't work. So I think I don't know if it's 3 things or not, but I think
you gave like 7 or 8. I don't know. I know it was like a list. I didn't know if they were separate or if they were combined, but no, that was great. Thank you. That was great, Sonia. Okay, your turn. You can't say anything she said.
Yeah. Well, so let's say, one thing I think I mentioned before, like, I can learn to learn. I think that's like, it's great. I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, that's as humans, right? Like, what we want to do, always want to do things that fulfill us. and that only comes from like having curiosity and like having the interest to learn. That's two. And then I'd say like because don't be afraid to fail. I mean, everybody before us failed multiple times before, we are here because our ancestors failed so many times, and we somehow made it here, right? So it's don't be afraid to fail.
Right.
It's part of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that. And that's wild because you mentioned curiosity, and you know the saying curiosity killed the cat. It's like I don't like that saying. Like it
Right.
popped in my head when you said that, and I was just like, no, curiosity could save the cat. Like curiosity could have the cat asking more questions and saying, oh no, I shouldn't go that way because I could lose one of my 9 lives if I go there.
I don't
But
think
I don't.
curiosity killed the cat. I think the lack of wisdom killed the cat, probably, right? Not putting things together. Right.
Not the curiosity. I know. It's like, no, they don't be wanting you to ask questions. I tell people, ask all the questions. Ask them. Ask the questions. Ask them because, yeah, no, if it doesn't sound right or it's not sitting right with you, you need to ask more questions. You need to ask more questions and probably go a different direction. But definitely ask the questions. Be curious and learn to love and love to learn. I love all of that. So thank y'all so much. Where can we find Supercoders? Super decoders,
Yeah,
or I
it's
just renamed it.
our website is superdecoders.com, and you can follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, Super Decoders, as well as Instagram page. You can follow us there. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, all the links will definitely be available in the description. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And families, I always tell you, like, you don't have to know it all because there are so many different resources out here that will make sure you are provided with the tools and essential information that you need to make sure your children reach the level of success that you all have planned for you. So tap into the resources, check out the different educational educational resources that are available to you, and understand that you can homeschool your kids.